Hello, and welcome to this Hiring Our Heroes virtual career community webinar. Hiring Our Heroes is a program of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, and our mission is to connect military veterans, spouses, and caregivers with meaningful career opportunities. My name is Brian Alvarado, and I am the Deputy Director of Workforce Development here at Hiring Our Heroes. Throughout Hiring Our Heroes programming, we consistently use and teach LinkedIn and that it is an absolute necessity as a job seeking, network building, and thought leadership platform, crucial to building and maintaining our career paths. Today, we are very pleased to host this training on LinkedIn for veterans and military spouses, featuring the experts directly from LinkedIn, including our special guest, Corey Boatwright, Head of Military Affairs for LinkedIn. A few housekeeping items for today before we get started. Please keep your video and microphones turned off until the breakout sessions later in the hour. This session is being recorded and will be uploaded for later viewing on our Career Community Hub at hiringourheroes.org. With that, I'll turn it over to our moderator, Corey, to introduce himself and get the conversation started. Corey, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it, and thank you, Hiring Our Heroes, and thank you to all of you for joining us today for this session. As Brian said, my name is Corey Boatwright. I lead veteran and military programs at LinkedIn, and I'm super excited to share with you today how you can best leverage LinkedIn to make the most out of your career transition. So a little bit about me. I served 6 years in the Air Force, got out in 2011. And one thing that's consistent about my career from then into where I am today is the use of LinkedIn. And that's why I'm excited to share it with you today. So about a year before I got out of the military, I started my LinkedIn account and I started connecting with the people within the office. And then when I went back to school, I was connecting with my classmates. And then when I went to networking events or I was interviewing for roles for after school, I was connecting with those folks as well. And then I've continued to build my network along the way. But what's really interesting is just using LinkedIn to find out more information about employers, to connect with people, to get referrals for roles, are all things that you can do with LinkedIn. And they're all things that I did and then ultimately found myself here at LinkedIn. So again, super excited to share with you today some tips and tricks on how to best use LinkedIn. So thank you so much again for being here. Next slide, please. Okay, why LinkedIn? Why should you take the time to get online and to build out your LinkedIn profile? You've probably heard about building out your resume, maybe a cover letter and whatnot, but LinkedIn is critically important for your career transition. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that, and I'm going to show you how you can some best practices when you're building out your profile. Next slide, please. Okay. So LinkedIn has the economic graph, and the economic graph is basically the LinkedIn network, which consists of over 700 million members. So people just like you. There's also 50 million companies on LinkedIn, 11 million jobs, and 90,000 schools. So why is that important? It's important because basically any opportunity that you'd be looking for, or anybody who could help you learn about that opportunity or get that opportunity is on LinkedIn. So simply, you've got to be on LinkedIn in order to take advantage of it. So that's one huge reason why LinkedIn is important. Next slide, please. Continuing on that, employers use LinkedIn. So there's over 500,000 companies that are using LinkedIn to find and hire talent. 97% of the Fortune 500 companies use LinkedIn for recruiting and sourcing talent, and you're 4 times more likely to get hired at a company if you have a connection at the company. So for instance, if you were looking at jobs at LinkedIn and you were connected to me, we could create a relationship where we talk about roles at LinkedIn, and maybe I could provide you with a referral to the company, helping you get a role at LinkedIn or any other of the companies that are on there. Next slide, please. Okay, so what's the big difference between LinkedIn, the LinkedIn profile, and your resume? So with your resume, you generally tailor your resume and then you submit it for a role that you're applying for. You might submit your resume and your cover letter. But what's interesting about your LinkedIn profile is that your LinkedIn profile is searchable. So meaning it's always on. So when you build your profile that represents your professional brand and who you are as a professional and your experiences, employers can find you. So it's more passive. So now instead of having to, for you to have to actively submit your resume to all these different jobs, all these employers out there with opportunity, all these recruiters that have open roles that they're trying to fill can now find you. And the only way they can find you is if you have your LinkedIn profile. The more you have your LinkedIn profile built out, the more discoverable you'll be. And I'll go over that here in a little bit. So you can build your professional brand, go into detail about your skills and projects, your interests and all that stuff on your LinkedIn profile versus your 1 or 2 page resume. Next slide, please. Okay, so building your LinkedIn profile. We're gonna go over taking a great photo, writing a headline, writing your summary, adding your experience and education and your training information, and then adding skills, which is also critically important. Next slide, please. All right, taking a great photo. This is really important. So with your photo, you wanna make sure, one, you wanna make sure that you have a photo. You wanna make sure that your background isn't distracting. So if you can get kind of a neutral background, that's great. You also wanna dress for the job that you want. Like a rule of thumb that I like to use is dress about 25% nicer in your photo than what people would typically wear at the office. So for instance, if you're gonna be going for a job in tech, you're probably gonna wear something a little less formal than if you were going to be applying for a job in banking. You want to make sure that you're applying for the job that you want. Also, if you're a service member or a veteran, you want your photo to be civilian attire. So if you're not looking for a job that's back in the military, you're going to definitely want to change your profile so that it reflects more of the civilian workforce role that you're going to be seeking. Also, a good rule of thumb is to make sure that your photo that your face is taking up a good amount of the actual frame. You don't want to be too far away. You want to be people to be able to recognize you. So one thing good to know is that if you have a photo, you're going to attract 20 times more views to your profile. Also, 9 times the connection requests for profiles that have a profile photo. Next slide, please. Okay. Headline. So the headline sits at just right below your photo, and it basically summarizes your professional identity. So if you're a project manager, you might say something like a senior project manager, or if you're an operations manager, maybe you put operations manager or senior operation manager. But really, you've got just 5 to 10 words that clearly articulate who you are as a professional. And one thing that we caution people on doing is putting transitioning veteran or student veteran, because a lot of the civilian workforce, one, doesn't exactly know what transitioning veteran means. And student veteran, it's really hard for recruiters or people that have opportunity to understand what type of professional you are, because they have these roles that they're trying to fill, but they're not trying to fill roles that are named student veteran or transitioning veteran. They're hiring for roles like project manager, program manager, operation manager, or whatnot. So make sure that your headline is communicating the professional that you are and the professional that you want to be in the civilian workforce or your next role. Next slide, please. All right, summary. This is really important too. So your summary is like your elevator pitch. So this is where you can add some detail about your experiences, what you're looking for, where you're looking to go, some of your interests. Make sure that you have at least 40 words on your summary, because once you do that, then those words are added into the search function when recruiters are looking for talent. So make sure you have this filled out. A lot of people skip this step, but make sure you do go ahead and add that in there. And make sure that you're using at least 40 words. So just a couple of things of, hey, I spent 6 years in the military. I am now getting out. I went to school for this and this, and I'm looking to work in this industry as a project manager, or program manager, or whatnot. Next slide, please. All right, highlighting your experience. So you definitely want to add your relevant experience here. So you could add your roles within the military. I recommend that you add like the different units that you've supported and the different the different roles you are. Make sure that you're translating it out. You're probably not going to put your rank, but you would put something that's commensurate to the civilian workforce so recruiters can understand what that is. Again, maybe project manager, operations manager, or whatnot, but making sure that people can understand it. And you can test this by asking your network or other people who've already transitioned if what you're putting there is understandable. When you add experience, you're going to get 9 times more profile reviews. You're a lot more discoverable because recruiters are using experience to find talent. 5 times more connection requests and 10 times more messages, meaning recruiters or other people are able to just discover you on LinkedIn and they're able to send you messages, and then you can start building relationships that way. One thing, just like to quickly add information to your experience, you don't want to just add the industry and the organization that you're a part of. You also want to make sure that you're adding some of the information in the summary area, and you can just use your resume bullets that you've already probably created and put them in there for now, but you want to tailor them so that you can give some more detail over time. And one last thing to note, in your experience area, when you put, for the service members out there, you put your military branch, make sure that the military branch logo shows up. You don't want it to be this gray box that's got like a gray building in it. You want to make sure that it actually shows your military branch. That also helps you be discoverable by employers and recruiters. Next slide, please. All right, add your education, licenses, and certificates. So very similar to your experience area, you want to add your education and any licenses and certifications that you have, because again, recruiters are going to be using that to find talent. So when you add this information, you're 11 times more likely to get your profile reviewed, and also 6 times more likely to have people reach out to you for connection requests. So making sure that you're having this information built out is really important. So you're probably starting to see a theme here, is that the more work that you put into your LinkedIn profile and the more information, the more easily discoverable you are. So the way that LinkedIn works is it uses search engine optimization. So it uses keywords. So as recruiters are using keywords to look for you, this helps you be discoverable. This helps you return your profile and their results. So the more information that you put in here, the better your LinkedIn profile will work for you. Next slide, please. This one's really, really important. So this is your skills area. You have 50 opportunities to put skills. So there's basically 50 skill slots on your LinkedIn profile. And I bet you have 50. You want to make sure that you're adding all 50. You want to, at minimum, add 5. But if you add 50, that's 50 times that recruiters can find you. So recruiters are using skills, specific skills, to find the talent that they're looking for. And so by adding the skills here, this makes you more discoverable. So make sure that you're going through and you're adding your skills. Also, it's just a tip, make sure that you're adding the skills for the career that you want and not necessarily the career that you had, if it's not entirely relevant to your civilian workforce or the career that you're seeking. So for instance, if you have, like I used to have like combat arms or military centric skills in there. And if you only have 50 skills, you want to make sure that you're using them, just the right skills for the next job that you're seeking. So remove the military centric skills because they might not be as relevant in your civilian job search. So make sure that you're adding the skills that you have and that are relevant to your search. Next slide, please. Okay, so gone over a lot of information. If there's one thing that you remember this, linkedin.com/military. This is where you can go to our website and you can get free LinkedIn Premium, which I'll show you a little bit here in a second. But also you can download one-pagers about these tips that I've just shared with you and how you can get more information. So LinkedIn Premium is a free offering that we give to people, to the military community, service members and military spouses. And LinkedIn Premium offers a whole host of different things for you that you get for free. Next slide, please. So make sure that when you go to that site, linkedin.com/military, that you're signing up, get your free premium. The benefits are you get free access to LinkedIn Learning, which has 15,000 courses on there. So if there's a skill that you have and you need to brush up on it for this next role, then you can go learn it there, or you can hone that skill there. There's everything from time management to Excel basics or PowerPoint, anything like that. So check those things out first. Once you get your premium, it's free, and they're really well crafted trainings for you. Also, you can reach out to people who aren't in your network using what we call InMail. So you'll be able to send messages to people who aren't necessarily in your network. So if you wanted to reach out to a recruiter at a company, or maybe you wanted to reach out to a veteran who works at a company that you're not already connected to, you want to send a message and be like, hey, I'm interested in XYZ company. I'd love it if we could chat for 15 minutes. You would need your InMail credit to be able to do that. You'll get free InMail credits. You'll also be able to see who's viewing your profile, so you can see what kind of traction that you're getting, what recruiters, where they're from, which companies they work for, and stuff like that. You'll also be able to access the upgraded interview prep tools, which are phenomenal. So highly recommend taking care of that or doing that. And then you'll be able to make sure that your profile is open to other folks. So lots of benefits to LinkedIn Premium. There's job insights, there's salary insights, all kinds of things like that. So highly recommend doing it. There's no strings attached. All you do is go to the linkedin.com/military, and I'll show you next how you can click through that and get that for you. Next slide, please. So when you when you go to linkedin.com/military, you'll see this button here. You just click on that. You'll just sign in to ID Me, and within seconds, you'll get your free premium. It lasts for an entire year, and you'll be able to take advantage of it, all those benefits that I just showed you in your career transition. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for coming today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and connect with me and let me know if you have any questions. We'll help make sure you get to those resources. And again, remember, linkedin.com/military, all the information is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey, for coming today and sharing these valuable practical tips for moving your career search forward using LinkedIn. I would like to mention for military spouses in the room, I know we have a lot of them, you can also take advantage of a free year of LinkedIn Premium through the Spouse Education and Career Opportunities Program from the Department of Defense at Military OneSource, or by joining any one of the Amplify programs through Hiring Our Heroes this year. Viewers, as I mentioned before, you'll be able to find this and many other recorded sessions on our Career Community Hub at hiringourheroes.org. If you signed up to have your profile reviewed today, please stay here and hold tight while our technical team moves everyone to breakout rooms. These reviewers will be available until 2 p.m. today, so we've got just about 40 minutes for those. Technical team can start moving everybody over now. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you to Corey and all of the dedicated members of the LinkedIn and Hiring Our Heroes teams who led those review sessions. We apologize for the technical issue with screen sharing and thank everyone for their patience as that got worked out. As I mentioned earlier, LinkedIn is an absolute necessity as a job-seeking, network-building, and thought leadership platform crucial to building and maintaining our career paths. And we hope you are able to take steps forward in building your profile today. Before we wrap up, I want to share a few upcoming events. Next week on February 11th, Hiring Our Heroes is hosting an employer spotlight with Leidos, an employer panel for government contracting, all leading to a virtual hiring fair for government contracting and consulting positions, sponsored by Booz Allen Hamilton and Leidos. The deadline to register for that event is February 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. For military spouses in Virginia, we have our Virginia State Grow event coming up also on February 11th. It's a great opportunity to get some face-to-face time with employers in the state of Virginia who want to hire military spouses. And registration is open for our virtual Amplify, the 2-day career intensive for military spouses. And all information, again, is listed at hiringourheroes.org/events. Thank you again to our presenters our reviewers, and all of you for joining us today, and have a wonderful day.